What's going on, legends? LGG Alden, hope you guys are doing fantastic today. So before this video starts, guys, I want to give a huge thank you to you guys for all the support on the original version of this video. But I noticed a lot of people throughout the time of it have been commenting all these different ideas of how to improve it. And the problem with that is that this base was built, or the original version was built in a very, very old version of the game before a lot of the upgraded and newer features were added. So many of those things weren't there at the time, and this was kind of a very basic base, and I thought a lot of it wasn't so good. So I decided to go back, and I'm making a way better version of it for you guys so that it's up to date with all the newest buildings and features and things added throughout the updates of the game. So guys, to prevent this from being way too long, I'm going to be kind of splitting this up into different pieces. Each of them will be focusing on a whole nother part of the base. This one's going to be mainly solitarily on the defensive wall and making a very nice way to keep out all the mutants and all that. And the other major thing about this though, guys, is that this is all built from scratch. So it's all no mods, all single player. So it makes it a lot more credible because I feel like if I can do it, then that, proves to you guys that you can. And I'm debating whether or not I am actually going to put out like a time-lapsed version of creating this wall. It did take a good amount of time, but then again, that wasn't solo, which is why I would recommend building this in multiplayer. So either way though, guys, if you guys do enjoy this, make sure to leave a like. I appreciate it, and I will continue to do a lot more base building, especially with this one, upgrading it and making it more detailed and specific and a lot cooler. But that's all I got for now, guys. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. So the first thing that you want to do is obviously place out the wall. Now I would recommend defensive walls. Don't use normal walls. Normal walls won't really work too well, especially for what you want to do next with these walls. But the big thing about is placing them and where to place them. Now you can place them however you want to, as long as it goes from one side to the other, as long as it's like connecting almost nearly to the edge of the cliff as close as you can to make sure that it's not like floating over the edge. And what I do is I line it up to the little tiny island, as you can see when I first did it, but that's up to you. Try to make it as straight as possible. And like I said, it depends on where you want to build it. If you want to have a lot of space beyond your wall, go ahead and build it way further up the peninsula, but I would just not recommend making it too close to the tree. So when it comes to collecting logs, which is obviously the hardest part, it's the most repetitive part, the best thing that I can recommend for this, guys, is using a log sled, because the log sled will allow you to carry 11 logs instead of only 2 at a time running back and forth. So it's definitely well needed, and I would recommend making one for every single person, depending on if you're in multiplayer. So one thing that I forgot to show you guys with the defensive wall, make sure to add a gate. Now you just do that by pressing R on the 2. Now if you do them next to each other, it'll face in like opposite directions and make the actual gate. And what I would recommend is make sure that the logs that go diagonal so that they're on the inside of the base, not facing the outside. So guys, the next trick that I want to show you guys, since I know this probably will take a few days in game, depending on how many players you have, especially if you have one, it'll probably take you a few days for sure to get the wall done. So a good sleeping spot, if you don't actually have a bed, right on the shoreline there is a little tent right there which you can actually use. You can sleep in, and you can also save the game in, so if you want to come back to it or you just want to skip the night. So after you finally finish the wall, which is definitely the longest part and the hardest part, then you're going to have to add defensive wall reinforcements, which is pretty much just going to guarantee more defense and keep the mutants out a lot less and make your walls a lot more stronger. So it's recommended, put them on every single one. Now this is going to take a lot of rocks and sticks, which the best thing that I can recommend for that is collecting the rocks and the sticks with the log sled. The log sled can hold both of them, and it'll hold a lot of both. With that though, the rocks, they're all over this field. Now this field between like the peninsula area, it's all filled with rocks, which makes it a lot easier to collect all the rocks. And then the sticks, you'll kind of have to do it the exact same way you were with the logs. So after you finally finish that one, which is, I promise, the last thing that will go over the number 100 at one single time. Once you finish that though, you're going to want to use defensive spikes. Now these are only for the sides, the edges of the cliffs where you actually don't have like a for sure wall there, because I mean they probably won't go around it, but it's something that you probably just shouldn't risk at all. So just put them there. They're really easy to make. Each of them only take 9. And once you have those, your corners are guaranteed to be safe because they can't jump it, they can't go around it, and they can't get over it. Once you finally finish that, guys, then you get to move on to the really cool stuff, which is actually like the towers. Now the towers are going to be for like upper defense and being able to look out over the walls without actually having to go outside. So using custom platforms is the way you're going to do this. you want to have it so that there are 2 of them that are right by the door. They're about maybe 4 or 5 logs from where the actual gate opens, just so that there's a little bit of room in between there and some space. But to get them to the proper height, the way that I did it, if you notice, it's almost like they're like cubes. They have like little cubes and they're like all crossed in and whatever, kind of like a little crate stacked on top of each other. I had it so that the bottom of the top one is lined up directly with the spikes, and if you do it exactly like that, it should bring it out to about 15 logs per each tower. Once you finish those towers, then what you can use is you can take a bridge, and if you see, you get anchor points. So the anchor points, they look like an actual little anchor, and you take it and you want to connect them so that the bridge goes right over top of the gates, and it'll just connect them and you can walk across each one. What you can actually do, though, the easiest way to make it so you can get up the towers is using a climbable rope, which climbable rope literally just takes 1 rope, and if you need to make a rope, it just takes 7 cloth, and then you just attach it to the anchor point facing away from the wall, and you'll be able to climb up the tower. So just to save time, because technically building each tower is the exact same process, you could build as many as you want from there. I decided to add a gazebo because a gazebo works exactly like the platforms do with the anchor points and everything. I had a gazebo all the way on one side of it and put a tower in between the middle 2 towers and that gazebo, and then put a tower on the other side connecting bridges between them all, just so that I have a good walkway path and a lot of areas to build up there and sight to look out to. So my favorite part of the wall, which this actually puts a really good use to something new, I would recommend putting catapults. Now catapults, you can fit them on the little towers that you build, which is why I have the one in the middle all the way, I guess it depends on which way you're looking, but if you're looking from it on the outside, the one on the left, in the middle, and the one on the right all the way on the end. I put a catapult on both of those, which is really cool because you can reach out. Now it doesn't give you close combat defense, but if they're coming or you see them in the distance or anything and they're running around, if you can try and aim it right, you can actually hit them with the catapult. So it acts as a really good defense for them, and it's a nice cool use of like the catapult because I've never really used one in a base before, but it puts good use to one. One other little thing that I would actually recommend is maybe putting arrow baskets up there, and if you can collect a lot of arrows and build yourself a bow and arrow, you could go ahead and shoot them from up there, which is, you know, that's free range. That's a lot more open than the catapult. You can shoot at them anywhere, even if they're close, if they're far, so it works out. So I would recommend building one of those and storing up a lot of arrows, unlike the open ones that don't actually have a catapult. So guys, that's it. That's the final product of the wall. Like I said, this is kind of like a part 1 of it. So this is just showing off the wall, and I think this wall is really good, but I definitely know there's tons of ways you can fix it, and tons of ways you could probably make it 10 times cooler, 10 times crazier, and I'll leave that one up to you guys. So if you guys come up with cool ideas, comment them down below so other people can try them out themselves. And then also, if you have a way of doing this or any possibility, send me a picture if you build this, because I would love to see how it turns out for you guys. Because, yeah, everybody's base will be different, but this wall definitely is a really good one. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy, and if this helped you a lot, make sure to leave a like. I appreciate when you do. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I will be doing more of these videos, so you guys can come back in the future and be notified when I do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legends. You guys are awesome. Do not forget it, and I will see you guys next time.
Definitely think that's a little bit sketchy, you know? It doesn't work like that. And then the last part. The last part's a really big part. And I wasn't even sure if I should include this, but figured I should. This is important. This is for you guys to know.